There are moments when you feel a strange warmth, a sudden quiet, a tingle up your spine when you're all alone, and you think it's just your imagination. But I, the Lord your God, am here to tell you that it is not. That feeling you dismiss, that inner knowing you ignore, that pull towards something greater. It's not a coincidence, it's not your mind playing tricks, and it's not a fleeting emotion. It is the voice of eternity, the vibration of those who walked this earth before you, calling out to you from the realm beyond the veil. Your ancestors, those whose blood flows through your veins and whose strength you unknowingly carry in your bones, are rising around you right now, not to haunt or harm, but to cheer, to support, to remind you you are never alone. They are closer than you know, not as memories, but as witnesses. They watched you stumble through the dark when no one else saw. They stood over you in the spiritual realm when you were about to give up. They cried with you when you were misunderstood, and they celebrated silently when you refused to break. You see, what you're carrying, this purpose, this light, this calling, is not random. It is generational. It is sacred. It is what they longed to become, but could not in their time. And now, heaven has chosen you to complete what they began. You are the answered prayer of someone who cried out generations ago. Someone whose name you may never know. Someone who lived through injustice, pain, slavery, exile, persecution, abandonment, silence, and who died hoping, believing that one day someone would rise. Someone would walk in freedom. Someone would find their voice. Someone would break the curse. That someone is you, and they're not missing it. I have allowed them to stand in the balcony of the spirit realm and watch as you take steps they were denied, as you make decisions they were too bound to imagine, as you heal wounds that scarred your bloodline for decades. That's why the battles have been so intense. That's why you've been misunderstood, even in rooms filled with people. That's why your setbacks seemed unfair and your suffering unmatched. Because you are the chosen one in your lineage. You are the breakthrough. You are the shift. And while others saw your trials as punishment, I saw them as preparation. I was molding you, not for survival, but for legacy. I was training your spirit to carry weight your ancestors couldn't bear, but longed to be free from. And now, in this very hour, they're shouting your name in the spirit. They're surrounding you with the strength of their resilience. They are guiding you toward the light they never got to walk in. And they're pleading with you. Don't you dare give up now. You feel different because you are. You've been set apart since the beginning. You felt things others brushed off. You've heard things others ignored. You've dreamed dreams that didn't make sense at the time. And all of that was me speaking to the generational power within you, the divine essence I placed in your soul before your parents even knew your name. My child, I placed a holy disruption in your bloodline, and you are it. You are the one I have appointed to say, the pain ends with me. The shame ends with me. The fear ends with me. The silence ends with me. But the promise, it begins with you. The abundance begins with you. The healing begins with you. The peace begins with you. And the legacy, it blooms through you. This is not just your story. It's theirs too. Every time you choose grace over bitterness, they cheer. Every time you speak your truth instead of hiding, they rejoice. Every time you step toward your destiny instead of shrinking back, they rise. Their unfinished prayers are becoming manifest through your hands, your words, your decisions. Can you feel it? That heaviness on your shoulders is not a burden. It's a mantle. It's the weight of purpose passed down, prayed over, refined by fire, and now placed squarely on your life with divine intention. That's why the enemy has tried to break you since you were a child. That's why you've had to battle thoughts of unworthiness, rejection, and despair, because the darkness knew who you were before you did. But I preserved you. I kept your spirit alive when you didn't want to wake up. I shielded you when others walked away. I sent dreams to stir your heart, synchronicities to awaken your faith, and angels to surround your path. Because I am not just building a moment through you, I am birthing a movement. There is spiritual authority resting on your life that your ancestors prayed for, but couldn't walk in. There are doors that will open for you, not just because of your prayers, but because of theirs. This is not ego, it's legacy. It's inheritance. And it's unfolding whether or not the people around you understand. You do not need their permission. You do not need their validation. You need only to hear my voice and respond with trust. And right now, my voice is declaring over your life, this is your time to rise. This is not the season to shrink. This is not the time to play small or dim your light to make others comfortable. This is the hour to remember who you are, to reclaim your identity in me, to walk with the confidence of one who is backed by generations of unfulfilled purpose and by the power of the Almighty God. They tried to erase your family's name. I'm exalting it. They try to bind your lineage with shame. I'm clothing it in honor. They try to make your people forget who they were. I'm causing you to remember. So do not apologize for how sensitive you are. Do not dismiss the emotions that rise unexpectedly when you hear certain songs, walk into certain places, or stare at the sky and feel like someone unseen is watching over you. They are. Your ancestors, those who honored me in secret, who whispered prayers into the wind, who sacrificed everything just to keep faith alive for one more generation. They're alive in spirit, rejoicing that you made it, that you are rising, and that nothing, not fear, not doubt, not poverty, not rejection, can stop what I've started in your life. This is not the end. This is the activation. And the next step will unfold when you stop doubting your worth and start honoring your divine assignment. Heaven is backing you. Your ancestors are cheering for you. And I, your God, have already gone ahead of you. Now take a deep breath, my beloved. Your name is echoing through the spirit realm, not in mourning, but in celebration. You're not just living, you're fulfilling destiny. And this is only the beginning. You've been wondering why you feel pulled toward certain places, drawn to old songs you've never heard, comforted by names you've never spoken, and marked by dreams that feel like memories from another time. Because they are. You are awakening to a divine inheritance encoded in your soul since the moment you entered this world. And now the Spirit is stirring those codes, activating a sacred frequency within you that vibrates in harmony with those who came before you. This is not your imagination running wild. This is revelation unfolding, one divine whisper at a time. And your ancestors are speaking through symbols, signs, and divine nudges, urging you to rise into the fullness of your calling without fear, without apology, without delay. That dream you had 3 nights ago, where you saw unfamiliar faces looking at you with silent tears and gentle smiles. That wasn't fantasy. That was their approval. That was their silent acknowledgement from the throne room of heaven that you, beloved one, are becoming everything they dreamed of and more. You're now the living bridge between what was lost and what is being restored. That's why every small act of courage you take, speaking up, forgiving, stepping out in faith, creates spiritual ripples that reach beyond time. When you heal, they heal. When you love yourself, they're honored. When you rise, they rise with you. They paid a price in silence, and you're walking in the reward with sound. You are the voice of a lineage that was muted. You are the light of a generation that walked in darkness. And now heaven is roaring your name, calling you to complete this sacred cycle and step into your divine assignment with power, because this moment was seen long before you were born, and all of heaven is rejoicing that you're finally waking up to it. There is something sacred about the ache you've been carrying that even you cannot fully name, and yet it pulses in your chest like an invisible drum that only your soul can hear, because it is the sound of legacy rising through you. The burden you feel when you step into rooms where you don't quite belong, the heaviness you carry even when nothing seems wrong, the tears that come out of nowhere when you're alone. Those aren't signs of weakness, they're echoes. Echoes from voices that once whispered your name in the silence of prayer, voices that cried out to God for a future they might never see, believing somehow that someone down the line would rise and become the answer. That someone is you. You are not just fulfilling your dreams. You're fulfilling promises made in faith by ancestors who endured storms you'll never have to walk through. You are the prophecy made flesh, the continuation of a sacred bloodline whose survival was no accident. Every time you choose love instead of bitterness, peace instead of vengeance, truth instead of fear, you're not just choosing for yourself. You're rewriting the spiritual contracts written in the hidden histories of your lineage. And yes, the opposition has intensified, and the spiritual warfare has grown heavier, not because you're failing, but because your light is threatening centuries of darkness that have tried to keep your family bound. The dreams that keep visiting you, the symbols you see repeating, the names that come to you out of nowhere. None of this is random. Your ancestors are not resting. They are rejoicing, praying, fighting in the spirit realm on your behalf. For they see how close you are to breaking generational strongholds that have haunted your family line for too long. And while the enemy tries to distract you with weariness, confusion, or false relationships, heaven is aligning divine appointments, messengers, and miracles that will make everything clear in the days to come. You may feel like you're moving slowly, but in the spirit, your footsteps are shaking chains. You may feel isolated, but in truth, you are surrounded by a holy cloud of witnesses who are shouting with joy every time you refuse to quit. You've been chosen for a turning point so pivotal, it will alter not just your future, but the trajectory of those who will come after you. And though you've doubted your strength, questioned your timing, and even considered giving up, Jesus says, do not stop now. What's being birthed through you carries centuries of sacred hope. You are not meant to carry this weight alone, and you aren't. Look again. Listen deeper. Heaven is speaking louder than ever, and your ancestors are cheering for you. Not because you're perfect, but because you're willing. And that is all God needs to finish what was started generations ago. There is a sacred hush in heaven when you sleep, because while you rest, the prayers of your ancestors rise. They don't slumber as you do. They speak your name in realms unseen, over and over again, calling forth divine interventions you don't even know you need. There are miracles being orchestrated in silence, breakthroughs moving toward you in ways the enemy cannot detect, because they are wrapped in the same kind of faith your grandmother held when she lit candles for you before you were even born. They are woven with the strength of your great-grandfather's silence, when he worked with blistered hands and whispered prayers he couldn't say aloud. There's a spiritual roar building behind your name, one that shakes the gates of delay and rejection, one that declares, "They shall rise." And Archangel Michael, the defender of destiny, stands at the gates of your promise with his sword drawn, not because you are weak, but because you are close. So close. So close to the fulfillment of something heaven has been preparing for centuries. Don't be fooled by how ordinary today looks. The most powerful shifts begin in silence, in hidden spaces, in moments where you feel nothing. Don't let the absence of evidence convince you that heaven is absent. Your stillness is not a void. It is a birthing ground. The quiet you feel is not empty. It is sacred. God is working behind veils you don't yet see, constructing miracles that will arrive wrapped in the faces of strangers, the timing of delays, the unexpected detours that frustrated you, but actually protected you. You are walking with favor you didn't earn, but were born to carry. And it is that favor that irritates the spirits of jealousy, resistance, and spiritual warfare that have tried to cling to your path. But they cannot hold you anymore. You are shedding the final remnants of identities that were never yours. And with every layer that falls away, your true calling glows brighter. This is why the fire has increased, because your awakening is almost complete. The angels assigned to your bloodline are rejoicing, for they see it. You're stepping into the moment they waited for. The divine appointment that your ancestors whispered about is unfolding in real time. That email you almost deleted, that encounter you didn't expect, that dream that returned with a deeper meaning. Those were not coincidences. They were cues, invitations, sacred timestamps. And now, the winds of heaven are shifting in your favor. The very realm that once resisted your voice is now being commanded to listen. God is lifting your name in rooms you haven't entered yet, preparing people to favor you without knowing why, because your purpose cannot be delayed any longer. What's coming will not just bless you. It will heal the unspoken sorrows of generations before you. You're the answer to their ache, the fulfillment of their fasting, the living proof that their sacrifices were not in vain. And when it comes, when a miracle touches down and floods your life with divine evidence, know this wasn't luck, wasn't random, and it certainly wasn't easy. It was promised, it was prayed through, and it was protected for such a time as this. So rise, speak, create, heal, forgive, lead, love, because your time isn't coming. Your time is here. Heaven is watching. Your ancestors are rejoicing, and God is smiling.